There we go. All right. So, yeah, let's just start going down the agenda. GMRS radio programming clinics. And Cindy.
Cindy is here, but I'll start talking. Welcome, everybody. So you have the dates for the radio programming clinics. I won't go over that here because I think it's at the bottom of the agenda. The agenda of that meeting isn't fully set, but I'm working on it. The big advantage is you bring your radio in and we will program it for you to the new settings, which are kind of still under development with ACS and Hub folks. We're trying to make the preset channels on our GMRS radios very useful for our purposes as hubs. Some of the places we had programmed to listen to, because that's all you can do. You can listen to ham radio frequencies. You cannot talk unless you have a ham radio and a license. But listening to it, some of them were useful and others that we thought might be useful weren't on the list. So we're just making that that list a little bit more up to date and a little more helpful to us hub captains. So you get your radio, updated to that. And so that when you're talking to another hub and you go, hey, we've been getting good information on channel 112, then if they program their radio to listen to 112, you're both going to be listening to the same place. Otherwise, it's just a little bit of chaos. So that's the big advantage. We would love to have new GMRS radio operators so that they can learn how to listen to messages and write it down, how radio frankly works, and practice physically. The tail end of that afternoon, tail end of the afternoon, we'll actually be on radios talking to one another. So we're trying to get folks comfortable so that then they're comfortable checking in on a Monday night, Monday evening radio check. And so we just keep everybody up and running. So anyway, any questions about the radio, that class?
Could you repeat the date and time?
They are at the bottom of the agenda. It's
okay.
Saturday. Yeah, I won't go through it because they're written down. Any other questions?
I was just going to bring up the point that you have to have a license.
Yes.
To use the radios. So
yeah, if anybody is thinking
to talk,
you
can listen.
Yeah.
So the February 23rd at 7. That's
What?
under announcements. That's the only dates. Oh, I see. Down here farther. Okay.
Yep. Farther down.
25th, 1 to 5. Okay, got it.
And
There's
if anybody has an
two
unusual, one Saturday and one Sunday. If anybody has an unusual or very old radio, can you let Ann and me know? Because Ron will be there to do some of the programming, and he should have all the cables for,
Starlink.
You're cutting out. But yeah, please email either Cindy or I, and we'll make sure that we have the program and the right cable so that we can get your radio programmed. If you have folks that are volunteering with your hub that are interested in GMRS radio but don't have a radio or don't have their license yet, please encourage them to come. They will learn a lot. They will probably get very psyched and be more comfortable purchasing a radio and getting their license if they have come to this class. So it is a Saturday and a Sunday. They are the same information passed on both days, so no need to attend both. Any more questions?
Yes. Where's the Sunday one on the agenda? That's the March 5th. So it's not
March
the following
5th.
Sunday, it's March 5th. Okay, got
Correct.
it. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Matt. You got a question?
Yeah, well, I had a couple. One was, are there any changes to the GMRS repeater frequencies that we have in the city? Okay.
Good question.
The other
No.
was, can guests who aren't really familiar with the hubs come?
The one change is that Ron is releasing an additional repeater for use in the Central East. Be programmed in. It should be programmed in everybody's radio, but we're going to kind of like take the lid off of it and make it no
Okay, that's
Yeah.
the one that's been called backup.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. So, like Cindy said, she's kind of breaking up again. Nothing changes. They're still in the same spot on your radio. It's just that we're highlighting, I believe it's repeater number 3.
And you're adding or moving channels that are like ham channels.
Yes, that's really the only difference is the ham, listening to ham radio frequencies. That's the only change. Okay, any other questions? Did you have another one, Matt?
Yeah, I wanted to know if
Oh.
if a guest is welcome who doesn't normally participate in hub things. Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. The more people we can get familiar and comfortable with radios, the better off we all are. So yeah, bring them. Again, if they're thinking about, they want to get into GMRS radio or amateur radio, period, bring them, invite
Yeah,
them.
he has a GMRS license. He just doesn't have his radio programmed, and he'd like to be able to tune in if there's something happening.
Perfect candidate. Okay, anything else? Okay, I will be sending out a more detailed agenda once I figure out how long everything's going to take.
All right, we'll see if Cindy can do this. Welfare, I am safe messages update, practice event on the 18th of March.
Well,
Cindy
let's
said-
see.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm hoping this is working. How is this?
So far, so good.
I'll try and go slower, and maybe that saves me the hassle of logging in on the phone. So the I Am Safe messaging project is really coming to a conclusion in that we have the procedures almost ready for review. We are doing outreach to the ham groups to let them know about it. And we have a concluding kind of exercise for both hubs and hams on March 18th. And that will be about 10:30. I'm still trying to get the building to give me a firm date or firm time. And we will have 3 different radio clubs there setting up WinLink equipment and sending messages. And the hubs will all be invited so they can do the part of filling out the form and passing it to a digitizer and working on the upfront part. And so for those who saw the video where Ann walked everybody through the process, we'll make sure you have a briefing beforehand that, lets you know what you're walking into. But even better is if you come in almost completely unprepared and we do the OJT as we always do, and you can see how it works. So March 18th around 10:30 or 11, and it will be in West Seattle at the West Seattle Salvation Army building.
Do you know how long it's gonna run? Because I couldn't make it there at that time, but I don't know how long it could come if I could come later.
I'm for sure it's going to be 2 hours because that's how long it takes those radio people to get their equipment figured out.
All right, great.
Questions? Okay.
Okay, Gina, I'm going to go to the next one.
Yeah, reunification.
Yeah. So honestly, haven't really done anything on this, but trying to get the team together. So Cindy was talking about sending I Am Safe messages, which is a message from someone here in the disaster zone to a loved one in Ohio or Miami or whatever, saying, I'm okay, the cats are alive, blah, blah. So that's an I Am Safe message. The next piece of this project is using the hub network and ham radio and GMRS radio. And can we help 2 household members on the ground communicate? Not necessarily them on the radio, but can we let the parent in West Seattle who's working in West Seattle and the child who's in school in Beacon Hill, can we let them one another know that they're okay? Possibly, can we help reunite them physically? But to start with, can we just develop a system to let household members know that they're okay? So that's the reunification project. If you remember, and we haven't exercised this person much, but there is a volunteer role in the hub system. It's like number 12. and it is called the reunification officer. And that's kind of why that person was put there, is to help us help the family members, household members that are distraught because they don't know where their loved ones are or how they're doing. So we're just kind of fleshing out that job that we put there as a placeholder a while back. So I have folks that raised their hand last meeting. I am trying to reach out to them. There was Susan, you're on here. Both Susans are on here. So I sent you guys an email a little bit ago. I just wrote down that a Susan was interested in reunification, and I wasn't sure which one of you it was. So Susan Sanders, I can see you. Are you interested? No? Okay. So Susan Speaker, if that was you.
Maybe it was me. I don't remember, Ann, but I can do it.
Okay. All right. I will, that was my last piece, was trying to figure out which Susan was interested. So I will reach out and we will start working this project. Not a whole lot else to say right now. We're going to try and break it up into manageable pieces, because this gets really big really fast. You know, it's easy to assume that, you know, some of our household members are going to be over in Kirkland or in Renton or, you know, Edmonds or whatever. So this goes much bigger than just reuniting folks in the Seattle area. So we'll break it off piece by piece. Again, using ham radio, GMRS radio, and whatever other solutions we can come up with. So that's it for reunification. Gina, I'm going to keep going with schools.
Yep.
So there was several hub captains that raised their hand and said they wanted to work with schools. This was late last year after the incident at Ingram High School. My bust, I took a while getting everybody together, and I am kind of tapped out. So I was trying to find someone else to work that, to run that work group. But nobody has raised their hand for that job, so I keep going as much as I can. Again, it's trying.
Oh, now we're losing Ann.
Schools, if there was an event where they had to instigate, they had to put into place their reunification plan. And in my head, it's things like, it's very physical things, like I have canopies in my garage, and we also have a couple in the hub. Could I take those over to the school? Would that be helpful? Can I knock on neighbors' doors and see if they have canopies so we can keep people out of the rain? I know the Ingram High School incident, I know they were kind of stymied for a bit because their bullhorn didn't work. That's a piece of equipment a lot of us hubs have. How could we help out with the school? I don't know that we could get much more involved other than loaning equipment, but it's possible. You know, we have clipboards. A lot of us have clipboards in our hubs. We have pens, we have paper. How could we be of help? So if anybody's dying to work on that project with us, please raise your hand, let me know. Otherwise, we will just muddle through as well as I can. Let's see. Cindy, you're up next with the hub map update.
Yeah, we went through last year, late in the year, and met with the P-Patch staff and talked about some of the P-Patch hubs that were really not suitable for hub locations, either because of terrain or because of overhead threats, like the 100,000 watt power line running over some of them. So we ended up removing 10 hubs last year and sending our team of new GIS map updaters into the OEM's data layer that holds the hubs. And they've got that map updated, and the printing of the new maps should be out by the end of February. OEM was kind of slammed at the beginning of the year because of the king tide reaction that had to happen. So the best TJ could promise us was probably the end of February to get 2023-24 printed maps available. But the map online on our website is all been updated. And so the current number, get your pencils out, is we have 136 total hubs in the city now. After removing those 10, 71 of them are networked hubs and 65 of them are the P-patch or not networked, it's a location type hubs. So as soon as I get printed ones, I'll be sure and let everybody know. I'm sorry, Ron, that we're going to miss. You've got a February event coming up. I think when I said end of February would be okay, we didn't realize that there was something coming up earlier than that. Any questions?
Yeah, can you just explain the difference between networked hubs and not networked hubs again? Or
Network
more?
hub means I've got a contact or a person there and they've done some kind of organizing. They're kind of activated. So there'd be a hope someone would show up and go, what do I remember about helping my neighbors? Versus people who there's no leader, there's nobody who's done any kind of training or anything, and they just know to go to the place and start helping each other.
Okay.
Okay, no other questions. I will turn it over
Susie.
to.
Oh, go ahead.
Susie has
you
a
have
question.
So
sorry.
on the online map, are these network hubs signified in red and the unnetworked hubs are signified in white or clear centers?
Yeah, that's the difference. The darker, more filled in are, I forget which way it goes, but I think the thicker ones are networked and the thinner ones are not. Clear center, like you said.
There used to be a color difference. Red was a communication hub.
There shouldn't be a color difference.
It was just that the center of the icon had a solid in it. That was the networked ones, and they were
Right.
hollow on the ones that weren't.
Okay.
Right. That's what clear center meant to me. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, if no other questions, then we go to Linda Norland.
Okay, we had a recent discussion about how many potential neighbors near us we would be, quote, serving if we had to deploy. We had very early on figured out that probably about a mile radius was what we were trying to cover. And that makes sense geographically and otherwise, but we hadn't really sat down and looked at the numbers until recently. And I went and looked on the census documents for the recent census. And now there used to be 3 census tracts where we live, and now there are 5. And so the number of people now is somewhere between, it's about 21,000 people in the 5 census tracts. And we figured that a little chunk of those probably would really go to Mount Baker if people go to the nearest one. So we figure there's still probably somewhere in the order of 17 to 18,000 people in the circle around our hub. We think that's too many. And I suspect that some other hubs are in a similar situation. Very early on, we also did a map where we thought where the gaps were between us and the north and us and Beacon Hill and us in Rainier Beach. And I was glad to see, Ron, that you're here tonight because we think there's a big gulch in there between us and you, and we're a little concerned about that. So that's what I'm bringing. I'm just raising the question. We don't have any answers yet about that. I have a few thoughts, but I wanted to see if anybody else had been thinking along these lines.
Randy's got her hand up.
Hi, Linda. My name is Brandy, and
Hi, Brandy.
Hi, Ron. We've never met before, but I wanted to introduce myself. I live pretty close to Othello Park, which would be south of your hub, and I've been participating with the Rainier Beach Hub, but I think like someday in the next year, I would like to consider having a hub in the Othello area, which would fill in, I think, one of your gaps. But there's a young man with the Rainier Beach Action Coalition who's really excited about hubs as well. And I've kind of been helping him lately, and all my efforts have gone to him. And Rainier Beach Action Coalition is also thinking about starting a hub. So that might take a little bit of the pressure off of your concern to the south, but even still, you're right, there are big gaps. So I just wanted to say hello.
Oh, that's really good news, Brandy. That's incredibly good news. Best news I've ever heard in a while. Well, Well, we should be in touch with each other, and I'd love to exchange contact information.
Yeah, and I've been hanging out with Ron, so I'm getting to know everybody through him too.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. That's great.
Yeah, probably later on the agenda, during announcements, there's some things that we're doing in Rainier Beach that Lakewood Seward Park might also want to get involved in.
Super. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Cindy,
just-
Go ahead.
And in West Seattle, we've got 15 for 110,000 people. But on the converse side, you've got, 50,000 just in Belltown with its single hub. So it's this combination of your geography and your density. And so, anybody who has a lead on anybody who wants to start a hub, we definitely need more.
Linda, did you want to talk about a couple ideas to maybe identify new hubcaps if they're
Well, you
simmering?
Anne gave me a list of some people that she thought might know some community leaders, and maybe the idea of trying to get a group of people together just to have a meeting just for the sole purpose of thinking about who and how we might help foster new hubs. I think that that's something I'd like to do maybe a little bit down the line, and with the maybe collaboration and input of, Ron and Brandy and other people who maybe Beacon Hill, to figure out, how could we, and also maybe Bob Baker, how we could help, get people to, in our whole Southeast, because we've known for a while that Southeast didn't have enough hubs. I think one of the things about that list so far is that several of those people are already known entities and are already in our hub or have been in our hub. So I need to broaden that list before we would have, really, I think, a fruitful meeting. But I think I appreciated that idea very much.
So for the group, just the folks that I sent Linda's was the crime prevention coordinator for her area, and the city's all broken up into areas. So the crime prevention coordinator, the police, I believe he's a community engagement coordinator. I think that's his title. I sent that contact information along. And then everyone here has access to the map where folks that have registered a Map Your Neighborhood block, those folks are on there. Block Watch is on there. Snap is on there. So you can just look at your area and identify those people. And I believe the Block Watch coordinator can help you reach out to Block Watch captains in your area that maybe aren't on our map.
Yeah.
So those are just some of the ideas of folks that might be engaged and know some things.
Yeah. Linda, or the whole group, I guess. One of the issues is a lot of people just don't know about hubs, period. And so I think it's February 4th. We're helping the Office of Emergency Management put on a basic preparedness workshop. And that, according to Sophia Lopez, she says there's about 50 people attending, and that, she needed also some help. And so I volunteered to help. But I also mentioned to her that, give me some time on the agenda to talk about hubs. And so maybe we can, do some recruitment there. But I think the first thing is that a lot of people just don't know what a hub is.
Yeah.
And so I think this will give us an opportunity. And Linda, if you want to come, and, make a pitch for, the hubs, please come. I think it's at 1:00 at the Rainier Community Center. Rainier Beach Community Center.
It's 1:30 actually, 1:30 to 3:30 at the Rainier Beach Community Center. And thank you so much, Ron, for being present, for supporting, and for helping to promote. And yeah, you have time in the beginning and you can have time again at the end. We originally were going to do the traditional 4 stations that we offer in our disaster skills workshop, but I had a volunteer drop out and they're not able to support. So what I did is I was going to combine and just do like a brief fire extinguisher like pass and combine it with utility. So it'll be kind of like extinguisher, natural gas, like practice station, and then do the water purification and I'm sorry, the emergency toilet and the water purification as the other 2. And it'll be myself. We have an AmeriCorps supporting us that is on loan to us essentially by public health, because they were awarded him, but they've had so much turnover, they don't have a program for him to support in outreach. So he'll be supporting us at the city and yourself, Ron.
Yeah,
And
great.
so I'm really appreciative.
So anyway, I think it's just an opportunity to just get our word out about the hubs and, help, Office of Emergency Management at the same time.
Can you repeat the date and time and place again?
It's February 4th, which is a Saturday, I believe.
Sophia just put it in the chat, 1:30 to 3:30.
Okay, so in Ballard, there are no SNAP people listed. And I know from before that the block watch captains, they were reluctant to list them, but for the block watch captains, we contact the main folks and they will give us that information so we can contact them. Is that true?
I believe the crime prevention coordinator can send out information for you. They will not give you the information of block watch captains, but I believe they will post information on your behalf.
On the crime prevention coordinators, remember how last year we talked about, could we get more advanced engagement with the night out efforts? And so the crime prevention coordinators are supposed to be working with us this year and to help include hub materials if their sector has a giveaway. And using Jennifer, who's kind of coordinating that across the city, I can make sure that there is, the other part of it was they were going to put into their registration for all the people who participate in Night Out. If you sign up, may we give your address to the local hub people so that they can stop by with organizing material. Does that make sense? I'm competing with Ron, who just started his meeting in the next room over.
More to come with National Night Out and Block Watch.
Yeah, but I think that
coordinators.
The crime prevention coordinators, I can cycle back to her right away and say, hey, can we start this conversation about hub education sooner rather than later? So I'll do that.
And is there,
Gabrielle? Oh, excuse me, I cut somebody off. Please finish.
oh, and is there a system for getting the SNAP people on the maps also?
SNAP is run by OEM, and they stopped registering groups quite a while ago. So what you have on our map is a vestige of when they used to register them. Right now, if somebody forms a SNAP group in their neighborhood, they just point them to the training and they don't ask them to register. So what's on the map is all we're ever going to get.
So for Ballard, that's none.
That's about right. I mean, we can ask, Sophia's on, and we can ask her if she's got any record of SNAP groups in Ballard, but I don't think so.
Yeah, sorry. I actually responded to the email earlier today. I was just looking to make sure that it wasn't stuck in my outbox or my drafts, but someone did inquire, and forgive me if I don't see the name of who was just speaking. I lost the box is on me now because I'm speaking, so I can't recall who it was, but yes, we don't keep that information. Like ever since I've came on board, that hasn't been a thing that is tracked. We have the materials available online for kind of self-directed, so folks can get the materials digitally. They can request us to help walk them through the process of initiating a SNAP and developing it and what that looks like, but that's not information that is maintained or tracked.
can they be given information about the hub program so that they can contact us if they want to?
Oh, in the initial training, and it's the same in every outreach class we do, whether it's basic, in person or virtual, or even the workshops, we always promote the hubs and we send people to where they can go find information on their nearest hub. If one does not exist.
All right. Anything else on that?
This is Gabrielle. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I have done Night Out for like, I don't know, 9 of the last 10 years. And there's something about that website that's really funky when you sign up. It's supposed to send you information and tell you where the nearest events are. And I've never found it really works very well. And so I might be concerned about that as a source of getting people information. I have talked to the crime prevention coordinators about that. I've mentioned it a couple times. And they, it's a little bit out of their control because the city's website. So I will just toss that out, Cindy, as one thing to be aware.
Yeah, thanks for the heads up. Jennifer said that they had agreed this year to make changes to the website based on our request. So I really want to follow up and make sure that they were actually working on it, and we won't get till May and they'll go, oh shoot, we didn't have budget or whatever.
All right, let's move on to Cindy, medications poster.
Thank you. I am going to share my screen.
I got it, Cindy.
And beat me to it. So this is the project working with the Pharmacies Association. And there's 3 different things we're working on. One is fuels for mobile pharmacies. One is for making sure people with disabilities have clear information about how they can get some of their equipment or medicines replaced. And the third piece is kind of an additional poster to go with our set of 5 already that talks to people after a disaster about what they can do from the place they're sitting in right now. And that's usually, it's going to be people who have their 3-week supply and are fat, dumb, and happy. And then there's people who didn't think to do this, and now what do they do? So the Pharmacies Association and the Department of Health are helping us create this. This is just the text version right now because once we get the words settled, we'll come in and put the icons to make it more universal and quick and easy to read. So sending this out after the meeting and looking for any input from people. Something we might have missed or something that's not clear. Okay. So it's kind of cool. And then we're hoping that the Pharmacies Association will cough up some money to help print them because we may have to, if we have to do it on our own, they'll be on an 11 by 17 size rather than our unusual rotolithograph versions that we did, but at least we'll get something in our boxes. Okay.
All right. You and Ann, Hub yearly exercise planning.
Yeah, let me start that one off. So we're starting to look at the summer exercise season, the drill season, and what it might look like. And a couple of thoughts that Cindy and I had was to do something fairly early in the summer. So we're looking at June. And then if you folks want to do something more local at your specific hubs, then you have time. So that's kind of the thinking. What we'd like to do, and this is all up for discussion, what we'd like to do this year is instead of concentrating on earthquakes is take a look at a significant power outage. The infrastructure is down, all electricity is down. Either the power grid got hit or we had a massive storm or who knows. Anyway, power's down. The goal for this one would be to test out a lot of the things that are very similar to an earthquake. It doesn't occur to a lot of people, but our water does not get where it needs to go without pumps somewhere in the system. So if electricity is down, pumps are down, water does not get to your building, does not get to your home, especially obviously, high-rise towers, that's pretty obvious. But even if you live at the top of a hill, you're still not going to be able to get running water to your house. And without electricity, we don't have pumps and we don't have sewer pumps. So the sewage does not get pumped away from the houses and where it needs to go. So we will have big impacts on running water, flushing toilets. There's also would be issues with cooking. I don't know exactly if the power grid went down. I don't know exactly how that impacts the gas lines, but I'm sure it's pretty significant. So maybe we take a look at some scenarios where we're doing community cooking kitchens with something other than electricity. So let's see. It also tests this new project we kind of have where we're trying to support folks with access and functional needs that have medical equipment that is, essential for life. How can we support them? The folks that are insulin dependent, how can we coordinate getting their stuff to a refrigerator that's working? I should have written down all the goals we had for this drill. But we will write out the goals. This is what we want to test. This is how we're going to test it. This is what success would look like, all that kind of stuff. From you guys, I guess we'd like some feedback on what June 11th, it's a Sunday, June 11th, what that afternoon would look like for you. We rarely do things on Sundays, so we kind of wanted to shake it up a bit, get away from soccer season and, parents running kids to soccer practice. The Jewish community really appreciates events that are run on Sundays because Saturday is their day of rest or whatever. They can't do a whole lot on Saturdays. So that's kind of why we were looking at a Sunday afternoon.
Quick comment, potential question. I know that the University of Washington big graduation ceremony will be the 10th, the Saturday. Sometimes they also do stuff on Sunday. Like a lot of times we'll do the medical schools, all the medical schools, their big graduation ceremonies on Sunday. I would recommend before picking that date to make sure whether or not there will be large graduation events happening near the university.
But why would that,
Thank you, Erica.
why would that affect hub captains?
It can affect traffic for people moving around if they're near the university district, because the traffic is terrible. They shut down streets. You cannot get around. So for the hubs near the university district, that could restrict their access and people movement. It's also a lot of people go to them. So it's, you might not get people coming if you're going to be doing something where you want your community coming. This is a very large thing that would be pulling them away from this.
And didn't say, but we went through with the hub, or excuse me, the ACS leadership, we went through 18 weekends trying to find ones where they didn't have some event already scheduled, so we came down to about 3 or 4, and we have a backup one. I don't remember what it was, but this was kind of the best one that we couldn't see some big radio contest scheduled on the weekend that was going to take out half the radio operators too. So
no, I appreciate it gets busy in the summer. I think it's probably fine because I think most of the university events are on the Friday and Saturday. I just wanted to throw that out there as if you hadn't checked it, I would recommend checking it.
I'll take a look. Thanks, Erica. Any other frightening events going on at the same time we don't know about? Big events? All right. So I think we're going to try what we've kind of done in the past where, anybody that wants to play kind of plays. Definitely one in each sector.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Cindy.
Yeah. Typically we just go, who wants to play, right? And we get anywhere between 10 to 15 hubs saying, we're ready, stand us up. And we've been very lucky that they've been, pretty well spread across the city. Sometimes there's 2 in a sector, sometimes there's 3, sometimes there's only 1. And so we can do that again. And that's a lot of, individual hub captains taking on the responsibilities of their own hubs, which is super cool. But at a minimum, we wanted to have 1 in each sector. so that, you know, if we had one, then all the other hubs who kind of say, well, we're just in rebuilding, we want to go someplace and work, you at least have someone within your sector that you can go partner up with. So we wanted input on whether or not, how many of you just off the top of your head thought you might be ready to stand up this year. And if it's more than just one per sector, we can definitely accommodate that. How many, so I'm going to make you guys use your hands up thingy jobby. How many of you would be willing to activate? This is, you know, pop quiz, doesn't matter. How many of you would be ready to activate? Cool. So
I see
So I'm
7
going-
hands.
I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go. 8. Oh, and you went up and went down. Okay,
I'm
hang
up.
on. Let me
keeping
snapshot
them up?
that because that saves me. So Ann Bond, are you up or down?
Oh, that Ann. Ann Bon is up.
Okay, hang on.
No, we're
I
getting
love
somewhere.
screenshot.
And Ron's up too.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on.
Great.
I'm almost there. Pete's sake. There we go.
Can
Okay,
you
got
say
it.
most likely?
Um,
Can you say we're kind of in the mix?
Yeah.
Like a
Pending
yeah, no, we know
disaster.
that. This is, you're not committing. One more time. So Ann Bond, are you up or down? Okay.
She's up
Oh,
but
she's
struggling
pl-
to.
Oh,
uh,
she's
applause.
using, you're using the clap
Applause.
thing that disappears. Got it.
Yeah, applause clears itself. If you click raise hand.
Yep,
that
now I
is-
understand.
yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So we will send this
Operator
out.
error, sorry, Cindy.
That's okay. We'll send this out to the hub captains and see who else wasn't on tonight, who's out there. And then Ann and I can look at this and go, oh, magic happened again. It's at least 1 per sector. We're ready to go. So we'll feed this back to the ACS guys. Thank you. The other thing that when Ann was talking about the all power out thing, I mean, truly, it's going on all around us, you know, guys shooting up substations, and it's it's got an acronym already, a domestic violence event, DVE is what they're calling it. And the FBI is starting to look at, you know, these attacks on the electrical grid. So, you know, it's kind of fun to almost play along with the real world.
Seems timely,
Yeah.
sadly.
Sad.
Eric, I see your note about not about being condemned still. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, we have a plan. There's a plan for rebuild, but I think we're 2 years out before we'll have a new building.
Plans are good.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I think that was all we had for tonight. Just get that date written on your calendars.
June 6th, Sunday, June 6th.
No, June 11th, you said.
11.
June 11th, sorry. I had 6th on the mind.
I added it to the agenda. Like
Oh,
in the
super.
next-
Excellent.
All right. Finances.
I have one question about
Yeah, sorry.
the
Yeah, go ahead.
exercise. From the names that you took, Cindy, can you indicate which sectors are covered?
We'll
can't-
figure that out later.
Yeah, I
Susie.
can't do it like that fast. You know,
Okay,
I'm not near any of my maps or anything. So
Great. Okay, thank you.
All right. Anything else on that? Super. Finances, purchases, Hugh and Ann.
Is Hugh on?
I don't know. That's a good
I
question.
don't see him. Well, you can see in the agenda that the budget is not budget, the checking account sitting at 5,300 plus. And Susie, I think it was you that brought up can we purchase, was it thank you cards?
Oh, minor detail. Yes, I did bring that up.
Okay. That was one of the things we wanted to talk about. Is everybody okay with the idea of purchasing some, God, Susie, can you describe it? Because I can't even remember what we designed.
Oh,
Do you remember?
in terms of cost saving, the final idea was a postcard that could be mailed out at the 43-cent rate, and just a way to express thanks to people who have given donations. The trick with that I realized after is, generally speaking, from my experience anyway, we have lots of email addresses, but we don't necessarily have people's physical street addresses. And so it might create a hiccup in the whole idea. It may just be better to ultimately send an email in thanks.
So we were wanting to pose that idea to the group of, would you be okay if we spent some money buying postcards that you all can use? And honestly, I should have had more information available before I asked you to vote. So why don't we postpone this? I'll stick it in email. I'll make it as clear as I can in email, and you can give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on email. I see your thumbs up, Ron. Thank you. I don't think we were, Cindy, I'm going to turn to you. Were we thinking about buying anything else for the network?
Yes, the little giveaways, the medical kits or some other alternative to that.
Yes.
Brandy and Ron did an event called the Boo Fest. And so it's really a community event where all sorts of organizations have information and people come around and collect candy and your information. And we had a lot of adults stop by and were interested in the materials, but part of what got their attention was the stuff we gave them that they could put in their go bag or use on, on the fly for emergencies. And because this is a really kid-centric event, Brandy created these little, just the small snack size Ziploc with Band-Aids and a little bit of ointment cream, just some super small first aid stuff. And in it, it had the hub card so that they were able to, if they only had a couple seconds, they could say, go to the website on this card and find out more. So I think Brandy's estimate was it was less than $2 per. Oh, and screen sharing. Yeah.
That's what
and
was
then it
in
had
that
the Alert
little
Seattle
kit.
card in it too, right? So it was just something that was a nice little, it's, all the guys who run emergency booths call it swag. And we always like to have something, but it's in the past, we've always had to scam it from someone, because we didn't have the funds. And King County often gets rid of a lot of stuff, and OEM gives us the infographics and the alert cards, but there's no goodies. I personally have a hard time, putting out pens and having people walk up and just take the pen. So I like something that has got our information in it, and it's actually practical, and they could get the message and put it in a place where they could use it in an emergency. Matt?
Yeah, I also had a thought along those lines. If we had some cheap flash drives that we could preload with disaster information and forms, perhaps with our logo on them.
I'm writing that down. I don't, I know I picked those up at conferences and I never end up using them. So we'd have to be thoughtful about what we put on it.
Yeah, it'd be like an emergency kit sort of item that would, not for you to dump your pictures on, but just something that has like, a collection of all the ICS forms and local emergency contacts, different utilities, and maps.
There's a part of me that goes, not everybody has access to computers and thumb drives, and I don't know. Everybody uses Band-Aids.
Yeah.
There's a part of me that struggles with that. I'm just saying.
Brandy put in they're $1.20. So really what we're looking at is to, Anne's got the committee around fundraising, can we just look at maybe doing something like this on an experimental basis and see what we think? Because all the folks who call Anne and me and say, bring over the stack of brochures, we could deliver some of those along with them and see for a year and see what you guys think the reaction is. So thumbs up.
I will.
Susie?
I'm thinking that the out of area contact card would be a useful thing to add.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is Gabrielle. Could we do something where we would not require, but where we would encourage people to give us their email and as they picked it up, and maybe we would be able to grow our list a little bit as you send out more general emails as opposed to the very hub specific emails? That might be something we could tie to that.
Everybody that has a table should always have a clipboard and a sign up sheet. You know, because you're doing that in your local areas.
Right.
If I do something big like at Seattle Center, I will also do those, and I usually email the hub captain and say, here's 3 names I got from your neighborhood, but I always add them to the MailChimp newsletter. So if you need a template of a, sign up, I'm interested in my closest hub is blah, blah, blah. We can make sure that's on the Google Drive.
Great.
Is that what you were asking for, Gabrielle?
That's what I was saying, yeah, because
Yeah.
I wouldn't always think of doing that if I was at a table. So I think it would be great to kind of think about how those two could go together. Yeah, great idea.
And I'll get to you in just a second, but I wanted to show folks the out of area contact card that Susie brought up the idea, and I made it happen. These are business cards. So it's got our email address at the bottom. And the important thing is we have added email to there. Typically the out of area contact cards just ask for, write down your name and phone number for this person. But because of our work with the I Am Safe project, where we're alerting people out of town that we're alive and doing okay, doing it via email is the easiest, fastest, nicest way for ham radio operators to get that message out. They are able to email over ham radio waves. So we are starting to encourage folks to collect not just the phone number of your out of area contact, but their email address. So I will put on this survey kind of thing that I'm sending out, whether or not you guys would like, a 1,000 of these printed, and we can just distribute them out to everybody that could, as another piece of swag, whether it's in the first aid kit or not.
And how
So
important
go ahead,
is
Ann.
carrier? How important is carrier on that?
If you can get it, it's really helpful. It's as easy to send them. If you know their cell phone number and their carrier, it's just as if you were sending them an email. It's that fast and that easy. Very few people are involved. It's really just a couple clicks of a button. So it is really helpful. But we understand a lot of people aren't going to have that information, and people switch carriers. So it's kind of a shot in the dark. Go ahead, Ann.
I just wanted to say that our hub has done a lot of just outreach events, on the street, near a local store. And our favorite swag item is bottled water. We tape a piece of paper to the outside of every bottle. It's really environmentally uncool. We know that, but we tape a piece of paper to the outside of the bottle telling them about our hub. And it is amazingly effective. We just get 10 seconds sometimes with someone to just tell them what the hub is and why we think it's important to store water. And we'll even get people out running who will run past, take the water and circle back and go, "This is so cool. Tell me about this." I mean, it's such an easy way to engage people, and we can all just pick up a flat of water anytime.
So we could make labels rather than, because I'm going, the storage of bottles of water is horrible. But if we had the labels that we could give to you guys locally, and then you just buy your own water, yeah.
I just print them off a photocopier.
Erica?
Yeah, for those the little mini kits, first aid kits, do we have like links on shopping lists if we wanted to buy those and start putting those together in order to get the $120 per? Like a shopping list would be awesome if we don't have that already.
Brandy sent me her shopping area. She did a lot of shopping at the dollar store, and I think I passed it.
I did it mostly at the dollar store, and I bought in the biggest boxes possible and then hand put them together. So there's an economy of scale to get the $1.20. I think you have to make like 200 of them at least to get it for $1.20. If you make fewer, it costs more because you're buying smaller amounts of things at higher prices.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I saw the picture, but I'd like to know, it's like, what did you buy? What were they? It was like you said, Band-Aids. Just knowing what it was and saying, if you can get them at Dollar Tree, this will be best. But just having a list of what you purchased, even if it's like a generic list, knowing you won't be able to get the exact same thing all the time because Dollar Tree selection varies, that would even just be really super helpful.
Okay. So Brandy, if you can email out to the group, or I think Cindy was saying she and I both have gotten information from you. I just have to dig it up.
Yeah.
Do you want me to make it nicer? Like, because I kind of sent it to you guys in not a really good format. It was just like about the money, more about the money. I can actually like make a list if you want.
If you're able to do that, I don't, I'm on traveling. So, I
Yeah.
went around my normal file system.
Yeah, I can do it this weekend, no problem.
Excellent, thanks.
Okay.
All right, Ann, you're up next again, fundraising for individual hubs.
Oh, I thought there was something else I was supposed to talk about. Okay, sharing my screen again. So fundraising. I asked you guys what you needed. The number one answer was some way to collect online donations. And then it was a more formal checking account so that your neighbor is not writing a check to you to support the hub, but it's actually going to more of a formal place. And then being able to accept in-person donations by swiping a credit card or using contactless pay. And then everything else got less support. So we're going to start with the ones that were the easiest. So I have all this information in a Word document and I will send it as soon as we're done. But BECU was the one that seemed the easiest to open a checking account, and it's called a club account. It is meant for exactly us. There's no fees, there's no minimums. You can get several people on the account. I don't know that there's even a limit. The form that they have, there's space for 4 people. So, and if you need more forms, you can just use more. You do need a tax ID number, and I went through the process of how to get that. It's not hard, but it's, it's just one more step, and you need your tax ID number first before you open your account. And you do have to provide a copy of bylaws or meeting minutes stating who is authorized to be on the accounts. So it does not have to be formal. This is not for 501c3s. They are a totally different animal. This is exactly for folks like us. So they will accept what it is you have. I'm going to take a look at the chat real quick.
Ignore me.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So this is what the application looks like. And again, I have that link so you can go right to it. So you have to call your club something, Victory Heights Hub or whatever. That's where your tax ID number goes. And then the rest is just kind of standard stuff. So I've walked you through on these slides how to get your tax ID number. And again, it's spelled out in a Word document, but you click down here and then you click community or volunteer group. This is where you are going to have to put everybody that wants to be on the account has to put their social security number in. And then you're going to choose this top one. I am a responsible and duly authorized officer or member of this organization. Next screen, you're going to put in street and phone number. Up here is where you're going to put your volunteer group name. So whatever name you chose to get that tax ID number is the same name that needs to be on the checking account form. So just standardize that, whatever it is. Yeah, so that's getting your tax ID number. Again, I'm sending you the link to fill out the form to set up your checking account. And then when you do get your checking account set up, if you want to do online banking, So you're able to snap a picture of a check that somebody gave you and deposit it right into your account without actually physically having to drive to a bank. Online banking can do that for you, but you do have to go to the business side of BECU. Okay. Oh, sorry, I had some stuff on here from a different project. I do want to talk about, let me see if I can find it real quick. I struggled with the Amazon wish list. Sorry, too many things up. So I have done wish lists before with Amazon and I have struggled, but because when somebody bought something from me, it didn't come off of my wish list. So I did a little research, and what you're looking to do is an Amazon custom gift list. If you want to show people a link, a QR code to your gift list, they can purchase off of that and it will come off of your gift list so that nobody else buys it. A wish list, when somebody purchases something off of that, it doesn't come off of your list. So you could get more than one purchase. So I have created a custom gift list for the hubs. You can steal it, modify it, call it your own, and then advertise it to your folks, to your neighbors. What are the questions? That was kind of fast. So I'm giving you information on how to get a tax ID. It actually is an EIN, an employee identification number, but it's not because you're a business. So get your tax ID, open a BECU checking account, savings account if you want. And the Amazon custom gift list is another option. And I'm hoping to meet really soon with the rest of this team, and we'll start looking more at the fundraising sites. Yeah, just needed to get this out to you. So any questions?
Did I have a comment on the wish list? Maybe I can share my screen, but there's a quick setting here. I'll share it. So when you create a list, and this is one that I created for my hub here, and you click on this and then manage list, the option to keep purchased items on the list is here. So if you have a certain quantity and that becomes purchased and this is unchecked, then it will disappear from the list. And if you keep this checked, then it will just stay there. So I think that's the item that you were talking about, where they don't go away.
Yeah, so that's a wish list that you were showing.
Yeah, and it has a shareable link.
Okay.
And a shipping address, which would just go to me.
Yeah. Does anybody have experience with a wish list versus a custom gift list?
There are idea lists too, but that's stuff for people to buy themselves.
Yeah, see, I think the wish list is more of when I read about a wish list, it is stuff that you want to buy yourself later. I know you can share your wish list with other people, but again, when they buy it, in my experience, it hasn't come off the list before, but maybe what Matt just showed us,
Yeah, it's
maybe
just
you
that
can
checkbox.
force it. Okay.
Yeah, you can
So
add
we will-
quantities too. So you can specifically say, I think like on this list, I have like 2 folding signboards. So if somebody purchases 1, it will stay on the list, but the quantity will change to 1 needed. And then if they buy the other, then it will go away.
Okay. So Mary Kate said it will warn you that someone may have bought the item. Okay. I guess that's
also an option.
Yeah. You really want it off your list though. You don't want it to show as an option if somebody else visits there. So I'll try and explain the options when we send it out in the minutes.
Could you read that when I was sharing this here? So
Mhm.
under manage list for each list, it's separate for each list, so it wouldn't affect your personal lists. But there's this option that says keep purchased items on this list. So this
Yeah, and
stops
you
the
don't want
items from
to.
being automatically removed after you buy them. So if you uncheck this, then it will go away,
Okay.
which is what you
Okay.
want.
So maybe the wish list will work. And then Brandy had a question about if your group gets an EIN, does that require? No, there is no, to my knowledge, there is no annual reporting kind of thing. My community council has that same exact checking account with BECU, that club account. And to my knowledge, there's nothing we have to do annually. Oh, and then my registry. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I started researching that one too. I didn't get very far. Jessica, do you want to talk about that?
Hello. Hi. Let me see. Oh, yeah, I think I'm on. I think my audio's on. Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And welcome, Jessica.
Hi,
yeah. First
Hi,
meeting.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry, I may lose a little bit of connection. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that. I was wondering if anyone had looked at Amazon's for because my registry has an option which I haven't lit yet for cash donations, right? So I don't know if Amazon has that or you know, PayPal, whatever it is, you know what I mean? PayPal type of donation. So I haven't lit that yet. So what we did in North Cap Hill here is I created this on myregistry.com, but we haven't shared it out to the community yet. So there's only a couple things that are purchased off of it, which I think you'll see. Yeah, so oh no, let me see. Well, anyway, there may be some that say purchased one or something. And that was us testing where we did actually buy it and have it go through the whole, you know, shipping. But it seems to be a pretty good looking setup here. And we're hoping that it works for us. I think it should, you know. That there's a couple of funky things about it. There's a couple of extra screens for shipping because it doesn't, so everything we've chosen is on Amazon.com, as you can see. It seemed to be the easiest way because what I did is you could sort of download the little wish list widget to your browser that I could easily pop in the items from Amazon into the wish list on my registry.
Nice. Jessica, do you happen to know, does my registry take a cut or how do they make their money?
No, I honestly don't know.
Okay.
Probably through the browser extension by selling the information about what you're purchasing.
Ah, maybe.
Like Wish or not Wish, Honey and stuff like that.
Anyway, I don't know. Yeah. Not sure. That doesn't make sense though.
We will put that on our radar and have more to report out next meeting.
Yeah, and happy to talk with anyone offline about the process too.
I can offer some input about their cut. When you make a cash donation, they will take 5%. Other organizations like Sign Up Genius, I believe they take 0.5% more. So Sign Up Genius also takes then 50 cents on each purchase as well. So it seems to me that my registry has an inexpensive solution or competitive solution anyway for cash donations.
Oh, sorry, was that Sign Up Genius or GoFundMe or?
I don't know about GoFundMe, but the rate for Sign Up Genius is slightly higher than it is for my registry for a cash donation. And it's not taken off when the donation is made. It's only taken out of your account when you then use that cash to purchase something from your list. So if somebody makes a cash donation of say $50, then Jessica could go into our account and apply that $50 to any item on our wish list and then ship it to the hub. Does that make sense? And the fee is only deducted once Jessica makes her choice.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot out there, and it's a complicated thing to present to everybody because it's just complicated. There are sites that help you reach people and touch their heartstrings and get them to donate, but then they need a checking account to dump the money into, and sometimes they take money when you donate, and then they take a little bit more when they transfer it to your checking account. And PayPal's great, but not everybody has PayPal. Venmo's great, but not everybody has Venmo. So lots of moving parts. So Matt and Ann Bond are working on this with me. So we will get back to you as soon as we can with more specific information. But I would suggest you, if you're thinking about going in this direction, I would suggest you apply for an EIN, get a checking account with BECU, doesn't cost any money. And that's it for now anyway. So any questions?
Thank you.
All right.
All right, sharing best practices. Anybody have any things they want to talk about?
I did not have anything prepared.
Hearing what?
I wanted to say that the North Capitol Hill people are working on some really cool best practices for radio. Part of what is going to get incorporated into the GRMS class is them thinking through how to put paper in the hub box that helps the radio operator. It's just, I just didn't think to bring anything up to show some of what they're doing. So we'll ask them to do that in maybe a deep dive later on. We need to we've got a lot of new hub captains who, if they can't make it to the GRMS clinics, will want to make sure that they get their hands on some of the tools that North Capitol Hill is creating.
I do have something I want to.
Oh,
sorry.
Go for it.
I do have something I want to share that actually Jim on this call told me about, and I purchased and I used it last night because we lost power. So it is a LED light bulb with a USB-C connector and I don't know, I call them a rocker switch. I don't know if that's what this is called, but I hooked this up to a battery bank that I had, and I had light in the middle of the night when there was no power. And one of the reasons Jim told me about this is that the energy consumption of this light bulb is ridiculously low. So a battery bank and one of these things, and your household could have light for a very long time. So thank you, Jim. I was thrilled to have it and set it up last night. It also has a hook at the top, so it's easy to hang this light bulb and you're not standing there holding it. I just thought it was ideal and just a handy little gadget to have for our, in my case, more often power outages.
And does
So
the one you have just have a simple rocker switch?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I got another one, and it has like light, color, temperature, and these tiny little buttons where in the dark you can't see what button is what. But yeah, the rocker switch, simple on off, is what you want.
Not really hub related, but it helped in a power outage.
Does that have a an outlet on it too, so you can daisy chain them?
So I can do what?
A daisy chain them.
Daisy chain?
Yeah, I just grabbed one of mine. I've got one like this from Goal Zero. That's very similar, but it has a USB plug on the other end. So you can connect like 10 of them in a string.
Oh. No, I
curious
don't.
if
This
those
one
have it.
doesn't do that. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Like Christmas lights.
Yeah,
Right, right.
light up a whole room.
Yeah. So that's it for best practices. How sad.
All right, nothing else? All right, around the room. I don't know, I've not been on a Zoom around the room. How do we do this? Or do we just let people, you know? What's the best practice on around the room on a Zoom?
Sometimes I just I start up in the northwest corner and say
Sectors.
any hub from the northwest, you know, and at least you narrow it down to 4 or 5 people maybe.
Yeah, okay. All right, I don't know what all the sectors are, but we'll start with Northwest. Anyone from Northwest wanna?
That would be Jody. Let's see.
Jim.
Hey, Jody, you got anything to report out
You're
for the hub?
You're muted, Jody. You're muted.
I am working with Colin, but it's a slow process because he is busy at work so much, and I, you know, being the new kid on the block, but we're making progress. We have yet to get information on how to get into our box, which is at Ballard Commons Park, which is fenced off. So that's one big problem. Colin is working to update our email list, and we made some progress on that. So, you know, we're getting started.
All right, anyone else from Northwest? All right, let's go Northeast.
Okay, yes.
This is, oh, go ahead.
Go
ahead, Matt.
I just wanted to say that I sort of have started to separate hub operations Ravenna from our Ravenna Brand Community Association, which is kind of who sponsored it originally and got it started, but membership there has been dwindling and there's very little interest. So I've created a new website and I'm trying to start up a new email list and just run the hub as its own entity.
I want to say a couple of things about the Laurelhurst Hub. We finally got our community center back, but it's now going under renovation for a year for ADA. And I wondered about the newspaper and the David Gooderson article that was maybe last fall about the disaster relative to Bainbridge Island from the paper. Not once was a hub mentioned. In any Seattle Times article, not once has a hub been mentioned. So I wondered if somebody, and I'd be happy to do a contact the paper and said, are you aware? And could you please have that be part of every article you write on any major disaster in our area? Because it's not just earthquake and people need to be aware, but it's just stunning to me that it is never mentioned.
That would be super appreciated, Louise. I know Sandy Downton would mention them if she wrote the article, but you know, they always get new reporters in, and that would be fabulous.
I'll do that because I just think that's a real miss.
This is Gabrielle. I haven't actually done anything, but I did have a nice call with Anne the other day, and I am planning something for March 7th. And Matt, I may reach out to you on that, trying to have like a Hub 101 in our area.
Okay.
Are people just jumping in?
Well, right now
we're still on
Northeast
okay.
sector.
All right.
Yeah. Real
I'll hold
quick,
on.
this is Anne from Victory Heights. I'm going to do one of those 6-week disaster prep classes. I'm looking at starting in March. What was the date? March 8th. So Wednesday nights, and I'll send out all the information, but please spread the word. Wednesday nights from 7 to 7:30. It's a half hour, 2 topics. Really concise. That's my hope. So just trying to get folks to take a prep step every week. Oh, along those lines, prep steps are still a thing and still coming out. My goal is twice a month.
Wow.
And did your sessions, your classes last time, were they well attended or?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm starting to see the same faces somewhat. And then actually as the weeks go by, it's less and less, but there's folks that are watching the videos, the recording, so that's fine. I just feel like there's lots of folks who I'm not reaching. Feels like I keep reaching the same people. So I may be contacting Sophia to make it a more formal OEM sponsored class, and maybe that'll increase our reach a little bit.
All right, anyone else from Northeast?
Yes, this is Ellen at the Roosevelt neighborhood. And we have actually just connected with the Roosevelt Neighborhood Association. So now we'll have a huge email list of people to send preparedness information and hub information to. And I had to laugh at Reed, who's joined the RNA so that he could be our mole inside to make things happen. And he's taking, he said, "Oh, my life is so exciting. I'm taking a WordPress class tonight to get information on the website." So those are some things, kind of our focus this year is to be able to get more information out to people and make more connections, including with the increasing number of apartment buildings here in Roosevelt. So we have more information of people to connect with, to get information out to. Thanks, Anne.
Nice.
All right, last call Northeast. Anyone else? All right, Central West.
Well, that would be me. I'm Bill Fay with the Queen Anne Hub. Queen Anne, actually the Mi'kmaq Hubs organization, which covers Magnolia, Inner Bay, and Queen Anne, we're kind of got decimated by COVID, and we're slowly trying to crawl back. Meanwhile, I am getting closer and more involved with the Queen Anne Community Council, and they have a public safety committee which addresses both crime and disaster preparedness here on Queen Anne. We have a workshop coming up in late February. This is a company called Sound Seismic, which retrofits houses and businesses for earthquake preparedness. They are going to do a 1-hour Zoom webinar. It's kind of a sales pitch, but basically it's basically an informative lecture on what retrofitting is and isn't, and kind of what you need to do in order to make yourself safe with some prices and stuff like that. So that'll be coming up pretty soon. There'll be a sign up involved, and I can feed that back out. I mean, it's focused on Queen Anne, at least servicing the Queen Anne neighborhood. That's what the council does, but anybody can come if they want to see one of these webinars about about seismic retrofitting. Other than that, I'm sort of slowly trying to get the mi'kmaqhubs.org website back up and running with something decent on it. I kind of got derailed over COVID. It also got involved with using part of a platform out of Germany, which kind of got tied up in what was happening in Ukraine. So I think that source has kind of gotten complicated. So I'm basically starting over with mi'kmaqhubs.org, and I'll try to get that back up and running, because we got a lot of brochures out there. We've been handing them out at farmers markets and stuff like this, in libraries. We need to get something going again in our PR department. So that's basically it for Central West. I'm sure Frank would have other things to say, but he's not here tonight. So that's it for Central.
All right, Central East.
We came up with our grill date today, which was exciting for us. And it's going to be on Sunday, August 27th. And just as a way to remember, the last Sunday of August is our annual goal.
Did you want to talk about your ham huddle or?
Oh, yes, we're having a ham huddle, Capitol Hill ham huddle, Gina's hub and our hub together. And the date for that is February 28th. Anne has been terrific in sending us the formula basically for contacting hams in one's neighborhood and inviting them to get together. Cindy will give a little presentation on what the hubs are, and a representative from ACS will also speak to let folks know how that end of the radio scene works. And then there'll be time to mingle and basically ask these people to get involved with their hubs. Surprisingly to me, between our two hubs, there are 150 hams in our combined neighborhoods on North Capitol Hill.
That is huge.
Yeah. And apparently, according to folks at ARRL and other radio organizations, that's not uncommon. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what transpires and how many people actually do decide to show up as ham radio operators with the hub, especially to help out with this I Am Safe program. Yeah. We'll keep
I'm
you
excited
posted.
for you.
Anyone else in Central West?
Central
East. That was Central East, and I wanted to recognize Russ. He's a new hub captain with part of the MLK at Fame down in the Madison Valley. So this is his first meeting.
Maybe
you're talking about a different Russ. Wrong Russ. Dang, sorry about that.
That's okay.
And then Mary Kate Ryan's on, and I think she's been at one other meeting, but she's with Judkin Park. So welcome to Mary Kate.
Thank you. We are trying to get things started. I mean, we have a hub, it's stocked. It also hasn't been opened since it was installed in Judkins Park. So we're gonna join you on June 11th somehow.
You know, and actually everybody I caught that she had sent me a chat that said, oh, I raised a hand, but we want to participate. We're not ready to host. So right now there is the three missing sectors are Northwest, Southwest, and Central East.
We're ready to host. We need help. And I did talk to Catherine a bit up at Homer Harris. So we want to stand our hub up. And without a deadline, we're never gonna do it. So we accept the challenge.
Yep.
Welcome to the real world of this. Cool.
All right. Southwest.
I think I'm the last one on from Southwest. We thank you to Anne because we had a school that wanted to do a session on reunification, for the parents. And the date the PTA picked was a date I was out of town. So Anne and the president of the Morgan Community Association worked with the PTA to do the urban survival skills fair for just the topics around reuniting with your kids. And from what I understand, it was not super well attended, and we're still going to do a debrief and find out, was it the night or what happened. But the people who were there were very enthusiastic, and the organizers have been sending emails all day about what they learned from Anne and at the tables and what they've already done to make changes in their households to get ready for disaster. So that was kind of exciting. What I'm hoping is that once we finish our debrief on this one, we'll do another one in West Seattle for a school that has a lot of diversity in languages and see how that goes. And then we might be able to have a little kind of pre-canned thing for anybody else who wants to do it at their schools. Ann Bond, you had come. Is there anything else you want to add as observations?
The principal addressed the parents before she introduced Ann Forrest, and I thought her remarks were really helpful in providing context for the survival skills fair. And I actually recorded that video. It was 20 minutes in total, including Ann's comments. But if I could figure out a way to upload it, I think it'd be a useful thing to be able to share with other school leaders, principals, or whoever an assigned safety officer might be, so that they could sort of see how we might partner together to put on an event. But I thought that she did a really good job of that.
They told me that they recorded it because they intended to put it online somewhere. And then
to the
and then
parents that weren't
Benjamin
there.
Yeah, Benjamin, I've heard his last name, I always forget. Coulter. He is the emergency management coordinator for Seattle schools, and he was invited. He knew this event was going on. And that's what you said is exactly what we hope, is that he sees what she did and he goes, I should make them all do this, you know? Yep.
And it was surprising to me to hear that they are required in the public school system to do at least one preparedness drill per month. That's a lot. And they have 3 different types of drills. One is one where you shelter in place. Another one is where you lock down in place. And the third is where you evacuate the building. Maybe it's a fire or something like that. But they explain each and every one of those to the kids and what the drill is going to be and what the expectation is. And I thought, wow, that's just a level of preparedness I was really impressed to hear they were working on. So that it seems that it would be maybe more likely we would find receptiveness from some of those leaders about what our organization might do, should it be at a time of day or in a location where parents can't get to families or to their kids.
Yeah. I tell you, watching the parents surround the principal, she was a huge draw.
Yeah, she was very
man, make
charismatic.
sure your principal's there. Yeah, make sure your principal's there because parents will flock to talk to her about other things, but who cares? We got them there for preparedness.
Yeah.
And don't delete that video until I find out if they're really going to post theirs, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks. That's all for Southwest that I know of. No, we've done a presentation out in Southwest at one of the Seattle Housing Authority senior apartment buildings. And it was just interesting, but that's about all the wintertime activity we've done.
All right, Southeast.
Linda, do you want to go first? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
You can go first.
Okay, thanks. As I've heard other hubs say, we lost a lot of hub committee members during COVID, and we've been trying to rebuild our membership. It was a little tough for a while because the Lakewood Seward Park Community Club, which is the group that we're affiliated with, didn't do any in-person events for 3 years and didn't even rent out their facility for 3 years. So now that they're having events again, we quickly started bringing our table over every time they had an event. And there were 3 or 4 right at the end of the season, end of summer season. And we did get a few people to sign up from that. And we also put up new banners in front of the club. And several people have contacted us just because they said they walk their dog every day past our banners and finally took the plunge. And and then we decided, because we've been on Zoom once a month for the last 3 years, we decided to go to in-person meetings again in January. And so we had our first meeting in person. We got much better turnout than I had expected. And we had 6 people who had never been there before. So that was really like, I was shocked and delighted. Now we'll see what happens next. The other thing that I was going to say is that we have we have only one ham operator so far in our hub, but he's an active ACS member. I mean, really active. And so he has invited some hams to come to our February meeting. Unfortunately, we only have 20 in our immediate area. We don't have the abundance of I'm very jealous of you Capitol Hill people with all your hams. Maybe you could send some our way. But anyway, we don't know how many will come, but we hope that maybe some will. And this member, Pat Spencer, who's our ham, is going to give a talk and a slide presentation. He's already been working on it. And he's like really into it. So we're making progress. It's slow and, you know, but we're working steadily. So that's it.
Is it my turn? Brandy, are you still there? Did Brandy leave?
Looks like she's
She's
still
still
there.
on.
Are
She's
you still
muted
on?
though.
Yeah, Brandy? Can you jump in and talk about what we're planning for the urban survival event, skills event? Because
Sure.
yeah.
Sorry, I was getting a drink. So we're putting together an urban survival skills fair for Saturday, June 3rd at the Rainier Beach Community Center. I had so much fun at the one that we helped out in the Roosevelt hub that we want to do our own. Hopefully we'll be able to have enough volunteers for like the full 10 or so tables. I don't know if it was 10 or 12.
You froze, Brandy. Huh.
Do they need
Ron,
volunteers
can
for
you?
that?
You know, I know that Brandy is setting up a meeting with the Rainier Beach Community Center to kind of plan some of the logistics sometime in March. And so Linda, if you'd like to join us, we would really appreciate your involvement. But Brandy is still working on a date where we're gonna, you know, meet and really kind of plan out the survival skills event. Some of the other things that we've been doing, I've been doing kind of a survey in my neighborhood about people interested in taking a first aid CPR class. I have a good friend who's a certified instructor. And so all he needs are, you know, some assurance that we could actually recruit 25 people to that. Let's see. Susan Sanders, are you there? I know I thought I saw your name, but anyway, Susan and I kind of team up to really blast out information about emergency preparedness, particularly stuff that OEM sends to us. And so we're pretty good at that. We usually blast it out through Facebook and Nextdoor, and it gets out to quite a few people. And there's other disaster preparedness groups that we also send the information to. Let's see. Getting back to fundraiser, I just wanted to say that I was able to raise a quick $600+ using Facebook when I had on my birthday in January, and it was pretty simple. But you have to be able to, you know, like have the money donated to a 501c3. And fortunately enough, you know, our affiliate is the Rainier Beach Community Club. And so we just kind of funneled the money through them. I just, you know, when people ask to donate to my birthday, that money then gets sent to the Rainier Beach Community Club, who then, you know, has a kind of an account for us. Let's see, Emerson PTSA today, in fact, just invited our hub to attend one of their resource fairs that they're going to be having later in the spring. So let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, we'll probably be participating in a night out event. We might do like a smaller version of you know, urban skills fair, but it will be more in the upper Rainier Beach area. around where the community club is. And the community club would be, kind of being the sponsor of that night out event. And so, yeah, a lot of stuff's going on.
I'll just kind of throw out one quick note as a response to that is I'm with Sustainable Capitol Hill. So if anybody else needs like a nonprofit to funnel money through, reach out. Anyone else got reports they want to talk about?
I'm going to report out for another hub that I just worked with recently. The Madison Valley Hub, MLK Fame. The hub captain is Steve Smith, and I sat in on a meeting where they are planning a urban survival skills fair. And I encourage them that if ever you're pulling your community together, make sure you have the next event planned. So they also are doing a grand opening Sunday, May 21st. And just FYI, they are writing a grant. This is the plan. They're going to write a grant to give out emergency toilets to whoever comes to their urban survival skills fair. Those are about $20 to $25 a family. So they're not cheap, but they're going to write a grant to the Department of Neighborhoods to pay for that. So they're giving away toilets at their skills fair, and they are raising money to put gear in their box. They have the box, but they have no gear in it. So if anybody's interested in that process, there is a hub that's working on it. I've given them all the paperwork I can, and we'll just, I'll just stand by and help them when they need it. That's it for Madison Valley.
All right, anyone else?
I have something I'd like to share.
All right.
To my mind, the whole SNAP program is a very important part of emergency preparedness. And I'm rather appalled that there isn't coordination between the hubs and the SNAP people, because the SNAP people are doing like block by block, who needs what. And it seems so critical to me that that information is gathered before we need it rather than after. I'm not sure how personally or logistically we can get a better connection, but it seems pretty important to me. Over. I see Sophia has her hand up.
Yes, thanks, Jody. I think, and I don't know, maybe it's just, I think there's a misconception on what the SNAPS program is. It's not something that's like the hubs. It's not like Seattle doesn't do CERT for many reasons, and SNAP was not meant to be a substitute for CERT. It's catch and release. It's pushing out the information, folks picking it up, and then taking upon themselves to do the next steps and just checking in if they need more support. But it's not, I think there's just a misconception on what the SNAP program is. It's not like Blockwatch. It's not, the program itself was designed after the Map Your Neighborhood program, but as a way to keep it specific to Seattle. So the name's different, but the concept that are educated out are the same as far as how to essentially capture who has what skills, who has what resources, getting back to that older way of being where we actually met our neighbors and we actually looked up instead of being on our phones all the time, and we actually connected with people. So that's kind of why that program exists, as an opportunity, as a resource to help community members do something to build some more, community within where they live or where they work, wherever their situation is. And I just think that's important to really understand what it is. It's not something that is captured as far as, people request the class and then we hold it for the organizer, and they push it out, they invite whoever they want to it. We provide them the materials, but we're not taking names. We're not writing down, like, we're not checking, we're not doing the proactiveness of our proactiveness is teaching the hazards, teaching the skills, trying to go that extra step and giving some hands-on skills. But that next step of community development is where we can, we do the guiding, but we're not tracking. We're not keeping track and tabs on people's data like that. And it might be something there's a reason why maybe it was that once upon a time, but since I've come on, it hasn't been expressed to me that is the case of how it's managed, if that makes any sense.
I'd like to respond, please. Okay, I'm 87. What's going to get us through disasters is community. So we need to make use of the tools we've got. And I think the SNAP program is one of them. And I think there is an enormous potential connection that needs to be made. Over.
Sophia, is there a way that, I know that when you say catch and release, I think that's funny, but I know that you take their names and you sign them up through Alert Seattle because people can request to get information sent to them by the city that's educational, not just, the fish truck overturned. Would you guys ever consider sending messages directed to the organized groups like SNAP and Blockwatch and CERT people and whoever's kind of the random people on your list as an occasional reminder, hey, we're going into Hub practice season, look for these exercises coming up in your neighborhood and participate?
Yeah, I think the Alert Seattle system is designed to be pushed out to anyone who wants to receive those notifications. It is not something, I don't know that, and maybe it's just because it hasn't come up and hasn't been mentioned or brought up as a thing. Like, it wasn't even included in my transition documentation when I started over a year ago. So I know, like, in our system we have, the ACS, the hubs are in there, but I don't know that the SNAP group, that there is a group in Alert Seattle that is of like active snaps that exist. I can look into that to see if that is the case. If there are, I actually have a note for myself, because to the best of my knowledge, we keep track of who's requested something and what neighborhood we're going into and how many people we spoke to. And that's data that does get stored in a database that, for our just demographics, for determining, we use it for justification when we want to ask for money. But I don't know that we can single out. I don't know that the snaps have their own, like, I can send something just to people that are identified as SNAP.
Okay, well, if you could look at that, and then that actually brings up another point, is you do send out the newsletter, and maybe there's this kind of perfect timing in March, April, where we've got, just tonight I learned of 7 events going on, where we could give you here's what's going on in the world of hubs, and you just push that out as, like a section of your newsletter. Here's how you can get active in your community. Like Jody said, here's how you can connect with the people you're going to survive with.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. And I actually took a lot of notes tonight, and we alternate across the outreach team on who does the newsletter, but we always share. My hopes is that one thing that's consistent is promoting the different ways to connect throughout the city, whether it's tapping into your, finding your local hub. But we can definitely make sure to include a piece of, like, right now we're revamping our website. And so, like, I've been moving things around and kind of changing some language and trying to make it be more in sync with what our current capacity is, because our current capabilities have diminished from what they used to be. And so the SNAP still even has its own page as a, this is a resource that you can be used. That's where the materials are kept. But I would love to, anytime you have anything, I'm on your email chain. So any emails that come through, I'll make it a point to make sure the team is taking that information and putting it into the monthly newsletters as they start to come out.
That's really good. It's a reciprocal thing. I always go and look at your website before I publish a newsletter, so I make sure I pick up all your training. And maybe you guys just go look at our website and, you know, pull out all the events that are scheduled. Cool. We'll work together. Yeah.
I came across Snap in the early 90s when I lived on Finney Ridge, and I was a block watch captain, and representatives of Snap came to a meeting in my living room, and members of the entire block were there, and we set up the full Snap system, and it was just a marvelous, marvelous overlay of the block watch. And I'm wondering if there can be some better partnership at the city level with the crime prevention people who are responsible for block watch and the SNAP program, so that we can take advantage of these marvelous materials that are available online, materials that were available in the 90s, and they're still tried and true. They're excellent materials. But it's just a matter of how to connect, as Jody was mentioning, how to connect these different layers. There's that wonderful pyramid illustration in a lot of the city materials and on the SEH website materials. And the level that is missing is the SNAP level.
All right. Anything else from anyone?
Gina, thank you for running the
Good.
meeting. I really
Yeah, nicely
appreciate it.
done.
It was great.
Sure. All right. Well, let's call it a meeting then.
Hey.
And I managed
Bye,
to
everybody.
stay on with Ron doing a meeting at the same time, so Starlink is not too bad.
Starlink.
All right, see you
All
guys.
Good.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night,
Thanks, everyone.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you. Bye.